Hello, good morning. Let's run a quick, super fast lesson through greatest common factor and factor by grouping. So I hope some of this is already going to be familiar, and I'm going to go kind of fast because I want you to have some good homework time. So feel free to ask questions when I come back and everything like that. Hopefully this is going to make sense. Okay, we want to factor out things that are common. And so doing that, it's kind of like we're undoing our distributive property. So when we first look at these two terms, I see that they're both divisible by 4, and they both have x's that we could take out. So if I divide a 4 out, I can also take out an x to the third from each of them. And so if I do that, I am going to pull that out in the front of my parentheses and then see what's left. So the 4 would be gone, 3 of my x's would be gone, and so I'd still have an x left. 24 divided by 4 is 6, and I took all of the x's out, so all that's left is x plus 6. So this would be my answer. This is my factoring out that greatest common monomial. In the next problem, we have 8y squared and a negative 24y. So we have an 8 that we could divide out of both of them. And I can also take 1y from both of those terms. So that means I'm going to pull that 8y out in the front. And if I take the 8 and one of the y's out, I still have a y left. And negative 24 divided by 8 is negative 3. And then the y is gone. Okay, and then that's my answer. So I just pulled out the common factor. So take a second, pause the video if you want, and try the next two, see what you can take out, and then I will catch up to you or give you the answers. Okay, so between 6x squared and negative 15x, both of those could divide out a 3 and an x. So 3x will go in the front, and then 2x minus 5 is left. That is that answer. Okay, on the next one, I see that all 3 of these are divisible by 7, and it has to be all 3. All three have to be divisible by something. So they all have a 7 in it. They also all have an x. So I'm going to take an x out of everything. So 7x goes in the front, and when I divide, 14 divided by 7 is 2, with 2 x's left. Negative 21 divided by 7 is negative 3, with an x left. And then 35 divided by 7 is 5, with no x's left. And then that's your answer. Okay, this next little section, I'm going to skip. It'll be easier to explain to you in person, and it'll shorten your note time. So it's great. Okay, so grouping is the other section that we're going to do today. And there are steps over here that you can follow. But when we factor by grouping, we want to we want to do this method when we have 4 terms. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. That's what's going to tell us that we like this method. So the first thing we want to do is split it down the middle. Okay, so that's what this means, to split the polynomial in half. And then we're going to find the greatest common factor of each side. So this is kind of like what we were doing up above. Let me take these lines back off. So on the left side, these two terms could both be divided by 4 and by k squared. So if I take a 4k squared out, I'm left with a 7k and a 6. On the the right side, I see that I could divide both of those by 7. So I'm going to put a 7 in the front, and I'm left with 7k plus 6. So notice these two match, and that's important. They need to always match. So to get our answer, we just group the outsides together. So we have 4k squared plus 7 in one group, and then we group these together, 7k plus 6. And then this is our final answer. Seems a little crazy, but if you were to multiply this back out and FOIL it like we learned yesterday, you would end up with this big polynomial. So, kind of cool. Okay, let's try this one. All right, and something I didn't tell you, but you should always check and see, like, could I divide everything in the problem by a common factor? You can't here, but that could happen on your homework, and you always want to factor out a common factor first. Okay, so let's split this down the middle. The left side, they can both divide by 3n squared. So we're going to put 3n squared in front. And then we're left with 5n minus 6. The right side can both divide by 7. Actually, to check your signs, I'm going to show you something. If I put 7 out front, then I'd be left with negative 5n plus 6. See how these two sides don't match? They're really close. They're only off by a sign. So when that happens, you want to, instead of pulling out a 7, pull out a negative 7. And then that way, negative 35 divided by negative 7 is positive 5. And then 42 divided by negative 7 is negative 6. And now they match. Okay, so our final answer is 3n squared minus 7 times 5n minus 6. Cool. All right, I hope that's making sense. Okay, there's a couple more. I think we probably are good with maybe just one more. I think you're probably good with one more. I'll fill it all out so that it's online for you, but I'm guessing that you probably have the idea by now. Okay, so 16 and 40, these can both divide by 4. Oh, even bigger. Oh, so this is a good example. If I divided by 4, so don't write this down right now, you'd be left with 4 and 10. But 4 and 10 still have a common factor. So you don't want to pull out the least factor. You want to pull out the greatest common factor. So both of these can actually divide by 8 instead. So if we take an 8 and a v squared out, 8v squared will go in the front, and then 2v plus 5 will go on the inside. On the right side, they can both divide by 7, and then we're left with 2v plus 5. So our final answer is 8v squared plus 7 times 2v plus 5. Final answer. Okay. I think that's probably good for now. These are all just kind of the same thing. One thing I didn't say before that maybe is really important to know is you can kind of see it right here, but always split it so that this sign goes with the number after it. Okay. It wouldn't make sense if we had this, because 3x cubed minus 5x squared, there's nothing here. So make sure when you split it, the sign goes with the next number. And then that's everything. I'll fill out all the notes, get them online so that you have them there if you need. And I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Go do your homework. Thanks.